Hello everybody, you're watching Channel 1, where in this video I will be removing and cleaning out the intercooler on my 1.6 turbo diesel Citroen C4 Grand Picasso. And there's some shock findings in it compared to what I've seen, so do keep watching. Now, I am the third owner of this 2010 Citroen C4 Grand Picasso. It has 87,000 miles on the clock with a full service history, and nowhere in that history has it ever had the intercooler removed and cleaned out. And like me, you're probably here because you've seen videos on YouTube about people pouring a litre or more of oil out of their intercooler. And wanting to know if you need to do the same to yours. Well, for those who don't know too much, the intercooler is attached to these two flexible pipes tucked away on the left hand side of the car as you look at it from the front by the radiator. And to get access to it, you need to undo these 8 clips on this sort of vanity paddle on the front of the car. Some people have trouble with them, so I'm going to detail here how you get them off. They look like this. If you just put your nails under either side of the minus sign part that's in the middle and pull up, it will release the clip to this sort of stage where it will just pull out. And then fitting them is kind of exactly the opposite. You put it in and then push the center part down, and that's locked in place. So yes, you need to remove 8 of those. Then, after a failed attempt the other day, I've realised you also need to release the radiator, which there's these 2 brackets on top that support, well, the top of the radiator. And to do that, you need a TX30 driver to remove these 2 screws. Which is necessitated to be done by putting your tool through the conveniently placed holes on the bulkhead to reach in and undo, as I say, those 2 screws for the brackets. There is also 2 bolts kind of behind the bulkhead here underneath, which hold the intercooler in place. These are those 2 bolts. And that will free off the intercooler to enable you to release that. But as I undo the brackets for the radiator, as I say, with my TX30 through the bulkhead, you will see here one of the brackets as removed with the little mounting lug on top of the radiator. The second bracket comes off exactly the same, just undo the bolt and release the bracket from behind, and that will give you a little bit of flex to be able to move the radiator forwards and backwards, which you are going to need to get the intercooler out. But from there, you need to undo the flex pipes connecting the turbo outlet, I suppose, that goes into the intercooler, and then the exit from the intercooler that goes into the inlet manifold. Bit too much of a long explanation there, but it is these 4 7mm nuts on the Jubilee clips you need to undo. The front 2 are a little bit awkward, but as I say, with the bolts undone on the intercooler and a bit of a free play from the radiator, you can just bend it back and get a bit more room to enable you to remove all of those. And as you can see here, I have the flexible pipes removed. You can see some oil on them, which has obviously come out of inside, and as you look down inside there, you can see a fair coating of oil, or you can just about see a fair coating of oil on both of them. So I am expecting my intercooler to have a significant amount of oil lurking at the bottom of it. But said intercooler will not come free just yet. You need to undo the pipework from the turbocharger to the intercooler, which is just this one bolt on the right hand side of the turbo, and then there is a 13mm bolt underneath that bit of pipework, which holds this bracket on, which secures the pipework in place. And with those both removed, you can just swing that pipe vertically upwards. If it comes off, it comes off. It's not the end of the world. Just slide it back on, but you don't need to remove it completely. And still the intercooler will not come out until you've released these set of sensors that go from the intercooler to the inlet manifold. So just 3 bolts. The first one is on top here, and they are all 10mm hex head bolts. The second bolt, if you're doing it the same way I do, is underneath, as I've highlighted here. But make note, this bolt does go through this bracket, which is what the feed pipe from the turbo bolt was connected to. So as you undo this bolt, that bracket will come free. Do not lose it. You will need it later. The third bolt is tucked away underneath on the left hand side. Here is a picture giving you the rough location, and a closer up picture here of the bolt actually being removed. You can disconnect this assembly completely if you want, but you don't need to. You can just, with those 3 bolts out the way, push it to one side, and as you can see already here, I've started lifting the intercooler out. Now, do make note, as a lot of the pipework and plumbing is still attached to all the radiators, and in particular the air conditioning radiator, the intercooler will get very close, if not rub on some of that pipework as it comes up. So do be careful you don't, 1, damage the intercooler, or 2, more importantly, bend and snap the pipe going to the air conditioning radiator. The bracket arrowed in this picture is kind of what is stopping the item slide straight up. So once that has been jiggled up and free over the bulkhead, the rest of the intercooler will slide out nicely. Then note on the bottom of the intercooler these 2 pegs, which when you look down inside the car from the space you've removed the intercooler from, there are these 2 rubber grommets which those pegs fit into. It's vitally important you make sure they're still there, otherwise your intercooler is going to rattle around. It isn't going to fit right. So just make sure you know where those parts are, because when you come to reassembly, you kind of want to know their location. Now, a little bit of video for you. So, I don't know what to expect here. I see all sorts of horror stories about these being full of oil. This doesn't feel like it's particularly full of anything, but let's have a look. There's certainly nothing in the service history saying it's ever been cleaned, so we'll just see what we get out. Nothing. Great. Well, that's nice in the sense it means my engine is running fairly clean. It's a lot of work I've done for absolutely zero effect. But I'll fill it with some degreasant and see where we go from there. So I have just sprayed this with some degreasant I have. Let's just see what comes out now. Okay. So, a smattering of oil has built up in there, but far from full of it where I had to pour oil out, as some people have had to, so not too upset with that. I'll give it another clean and see what comes out next. So here we go with the second flush. It's already coming out fairly clean. I just blow through with the airline now to blow as much out as I can. But that's probably it, I think. So as you saw there, my intercooler was fairly clean considering it has never been done before. You may have different results, but I'll get more onto that later. So with it cleaned, I slide the intercooler back down into its location pegs that are in the bottom of the bulkhead, which I showed you a few frames ago just before the video. Then you just slide the sensor assembly over that goes from the intercooler to the inlet manifold, making sure you've located that bracket in the correct place. Fit all 3 bolts onto that. Then you can slide your feed pipe from your turbo to the intercooler back down in position and do up the 10 and 30mm bolts on that to secure that. Then if you fit your flexible hoses to the intercooler and its pipework, pop your 2 10mm bolts back in to secure the intercooler. Put the 2 little brackets on that hold your radiator in place and fit the vanity panel with all its clips, and you are job done. So as you saw there, for an 87,000 mile car that's 12 years old, didn't really have any oil as such pooling in the bottom of my intercooler. So I will leave it for you to judge whether you need to do yours or not. I'd seen plenty of videos of people pouring the intercooler out and, let's say, seeing huge piles of oil come pouring out, which is why I wanted to get mine done, because despite it being midsummer, winter is only around the corner in the UK. And I've got a few modifications I want to do before winter, one of which is going to be related to the intercooler. So I wanted to make sure it was all clean. I had flushed through the fins and blown it through with an airline previously to make sure that they weren't dirty and clogged. But yes, despite the videos I have seen, I can confirm not all cars are going to be filling their intercooler up with oil, so it may not be something you need to worry about. The job is a little bit fiddly, so the biggest concern is getting the intercooler out past the pipework from the radiators and in particular the air conditioning radiator. But it's not a massive job to do, to be honest. So if this video has given you any insight and been of any help at all, and even made you feel like you could tackle it yourself rather than take it to a garage, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Every bit of work I undergo with this car, I'm going to be uploading here, and I would really appreciate your support so I could do more things like this and less of my real day-to-day job, because I am a single parent as well as holding down a full-time job and trying to do this to get a little bit of extra money to bring up my boy far better than I ever was. But that is just my own little story. Thank you very much for watching. Whether you subscribe or not, I wish you all the best. Do stay safe, everybody. Take care. Peace.